Welcome back aboard Blurred Force One with your boys Mo and Ladi. And this is the Supercast. The Supercast where we talk about all things superhero in our pop culture media. That's movies, TV shows, video games, all that good stuff. And we talk about the news, do some speculation. You know, we get our nerd on. And before we get into this podcast, as usual, please get down there, hit like on this video, or if you are catching this on the on the podcast for Spotify or other podcast sources, give us a 5-star review, all that good stuff. Just helps out with the channel, helps more people to see these videos and get to this podcast. So, and if you can, subscribe and show your boys some love. So anyway, Ladi, we're living in hog heaven if you're a comic book fan. Am I right, or am I right? Because dude, this episode is mostly going to be about talking about and reviewing Across the Spider-Verse that we both got to experience over the weekend. And but beyond that, Ladi, how you doing today? And what kind of nerdy stuff you been up to besides Spider-Verse?
I've been working on this little series of uploading things onto my Instagram. I've been reworking I've been reworking my original series I did about 2 years ago of the 7 Deadly Sins. I didn't like how they looked, so I'm like revamping them, making them look a lot more monstrous and make them look more like the actual sin instead of just a person with a different skin color or crazy skin color.
Right.
So yeah, I've been working on that lately. So far I'm on Greed, and also I've been working on starting something else on my channel. I'm going to let it be a little surprise for everybody until it's fully fleshed out, and it'll be worth the wait.
Dope. Yeah. So you're doing actual work.
Yes.
Well, I've been I was playing Street Fighter over the weekend, burning the midnight oil. It's a lot, but I'm really enjoying that game. And of course, getting my butt kicked. So if y'all wanted to catch me getting washed, you can go check out the stream. I might try live streaming some more. So you guys keep an eye out for all of that. But anyway, we're on the Supercast, so we got to talk about news as we usually do. News is ramping up a little bit this week, but like I said, we're mostly going to be talking about Spider-Verse, so we're going to keep it short. We only got a few things this week, but Ladi, we're going to do as we usually do, go under the gun and see how James Gunn is faring in terms of his projects, in particular Guardians 3, the 5th week at its box office. How's it doing? We got a new trailer for the animated My Adventures with Superman. That's coming to Cartoon Network. We'll review that trailer. And we're going to talk about a rumor about who may be tapped to direct Batman the Brave and the Bold. And it makes a lot of sense given what's coming out next week from the DC universe. So all that and a big old Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse review and spoiler talk. So Ladi, you ready to jump into this?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
All right, thwip, we're swinging in, yo. So, let's talk about Guardians 3. Look, we're both champions of that movie. We both think it's great. It's one of the best, if not the best, movie to come out after Endgame. And we've been saying, hey, it's a win. Everyone should go see it. So apparently people are paying attention, that they're going to do their thing. And Ladi, I want to talk about this week to week drop. I keep saying, it hadn't had anything less than 50% week to week. Well, I'm sorry to report that it dropped 51% in this last week. Do we need to do we need to just give up and say it's lost? It's never coming back. It only made 10.5 million in its 5th week. Ladi. Versus at a time, like I want to say, an unprecedented
some stiff ass competition.
Yeah, I was gonna say an unprecedented blockbuster competition. Like, Ladi, you know what comes out this week?
Yeah, I already know. Yeah. Like,
but I'm saying like this last. Okay, look. Since Guardians has been, it was in its 5th week last weekend. Spider-Verse came out, that juggernaut Spider-Verse, which we're going to talk about its box office later on. The juggernaut that was Spider-Verse, Fast 10, Little Mermaid, right? And this week is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, and a weekend after that is The Flash. Like, this is a murderer's row. If you're trying to make big bucks at the box office, it's a murderer's row. And yet, in its 5th week, it made $10 million domestically, and that is now, like I said, 51% drop from last week, and it is now at $781 million worldwide. Ladi, I mean, come on, seriously, this is a W, right?
Oh yeah. I'm happy. I really wish this movie would make $1 billion. I really felt like this movie did deserve to make clearly $1 billion. Doesn't seem like that will happen, but I am pleased with the way the movie is tracking, because it definitely deserves the money that it's getting. It was a good movie. I'm happy that audiences are now paying attention to the to us. And actually are going like, hey, maybe we should watch this movie. Yes, motherfucker.
Say it exactly like that. Outside the theater. Get your ass in here, motherfucker, and watch this movie.
We've been trying to tell you guys this for they're like, yeah, this is actually a good movie. Yes. Well, we've been trying to tell you guys, but whatever.
I mean, I think I was following people on Twitter that follow box office. So some people were like, it's tracking to be 900, and I was like, that's you really real optimistic, and I like this movie a lot, and like I think it's one of the best, and I don't think so. It didn't look like it had those sort of legs, but I mean, I think I did say it would come close but not reach Wakanda Forever, and I still feel like that's likely. It's because Wakanda Forever didn't have this competition. If it didn't have the competition this has, but 815 to 825 million. That's what I'm putting the final. Before they just take it out the theater, I'm putting it around there. If it does get to that, it's absolutely a W. And James Gunn and the whole Guardian squad, they should be more than happy to what they did. Kevin Feige is not going to sneeze at any of that. They definitely are making a profit. But it's as long as it's still in wide release, we're going to keep up with it, or at least until it hits about 825, and then we'll just be like, yeah, it did that thing. So we'll let you guys know more about that when it happens. So we talked about this last year. An animated Superman show that looks like it's anime style. It's not. I think it's fair to say it looked like they were definitely inspired by Japanese animation, even if it's probably not. Even though it's Koreans probably are doing most of the animation. But it's starring Jack Quaid as Superman, and so we finally got to see a trailer this last week. That dropped. It's about a minute and a half trailer for a show that's coming out in early July. So, Ladi, you saw the trailer. I saw the trailer. What did you think about it? Did it move the needle for you so that you want to go check it out?
I won't say it moved the needle for me to want to go check it out. I was gonna go watch it anyway, but it didn't really make me, because I kind of already knew what it was going to be. It's kind of cool that they're doing this witch hunt of, oh my god, who's Superman? Who's Superman? And they're like, well, you do? Do you know who Superman is? And they're like, I know who he is. You do? And it's just like, oh, so it's almost like they're about to do. You know what this reminds me of? It's like Superman guest starring Case Close. It,
What a pull. Case closed, Superman.
this is what it reminds me of, because it's gonna be like, because it's be like, oh, what's his name disappears? Clark disappears. Wait, where's Clark? And he's gonna like have like a stuffed animal or something like of himself, and like Superman comes and saves the day, and it's just like I'm getting the Case Closed vibe.
I love man, wow, that's a good I'm dying. Yeah, no, it looks good. I think it looks pretty good. You know what makes me think of that at least in terms of the stylishness of it is sort of like that show Totally Spies that was, not an anime thing but was clearly influenced by anime. But
Yeah.
also shout out to Jack Quaid who's the voice of Superman. I was wondering about that. Like cuz I like Jack Quaid. He does the voice of Ensign Boimler on Star Trek Lower Decks, who's basically a sort of a Star Trek nerd within Star Trek. Doesn't sound like he would be Superman, just naturally, and I just listening to him talk. But I love something that he did in there, which is his normal voice is Clark, but he has a deeper, he deepens his voice for Superman, so that there's an actual difference between the two of them when they're talking. I thought that was an interesting and correct choice, because up to then I was like, why would Jack Quaid be Superman at all? Like, I'm not, nothing against him. He doesn't sound like Superman, but with the way he's doing it, voice acting wise, I think it makes sense. Other than that, looks like a lot of fun. In fact, it looks like the sort of fun that Superman is supposed to be having. Damn it. Like, am I wrong about that? Like, that's the sort of fun stuff that we should be seeing from Superman.
Don't say that too loud. You're gonna get some. Superman is supposed to be moody and down and pissed off all the damn time. This is not the Superman I know.
Just get out of here. Fun-loving Superman is the best Superman, in my opinion. And also, I think it's cool that Jack Quaid is literally, he's in one universe where Superman's the worst, and now he's Superman and like where he's the best. Like, I'm with it. And this, mind you, this is supposed to be in the adult animation block, so I don't think it's going to be kid stuff. But I do think that they're going to take a more light-hearted tone, and I'm with it. Let's go. I'm excited to see this, actually. So, what's that? July 8th, I think it said. So we're going to be watching the day after, because, who the hell watches actual cable? I mean, who has cable? I don't know these people, because I'm going to be watching on Max. So. But anyway, we're probably going to review that, so we'll let you guys know what we think about it next month. Final thing, this is we're going to talk about a rumor that I saw floating around on social media, and it's relevant because it's talking about the DC universe going forward, and the all-important question is, who the hell is going to direct the Batman movie? Batman the Brave and the Bold. We know James Gunn is directing Superman, and that's, he's kicking it off. Everything's gonna sort of start the ball rolling that way. But then, if you're gonna do Superman right, you have to do Batman right. Like, am I wrong about that, Ladi? Like, those two have to be done correctly.
Yes.
So this, who's gonna direct this? All super important. Well, the rumor is that Andy Muschietti is going to be directing Brave and the Bold, and this is significant because he's also the director of The Flash that comes out next week, which, we're not going to get too deep into it, but it's got pretty positive reviews, so far. They're not universally positive, they're not across the Spider-Verse positive, but pretty positive reviews. It's probably going to end up being a certified fresh movie on Rotten Tomatoes. So, Ladi, I mean, you heard that. Of course, we haven't seen The Flash yet, but we have seen the trailers and everything like that. And Andy Muschietti, I will also remind everyone, was the director of It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. right? So so the guy he knows what he's doing. And also James Gunn has said very publicly that he thinks that The Flash is one of his favorite comic book movies that, that's come out. So clearly the two of them are on probably really good terms. Ladi, what do you think about this possibility, this rumor?
So there's a possibility that we can get the Batman, but as a cartoon, we can get dun 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 dun. It's gonna be a horror. I'm down. I'm down for a dark, broody horror. Even though it might be like probably rated, they're probably going to make it. What is there has there been like?
Well, you remember this is Brave and the Bold is not just Batman. It's the Bat family. It's remember that the synopsis for it was essentially Batman with Damian and Barbara Gordon and all that's gonna. So it's not just him. It's the Bat family. And that's what. And the reason why I say I have confidence anyway, because It Chapter 1 and 2 are good. It Chapter 1's great. It Chapter 1's pretty good, but it's also an ensemble cast with a bunch of people with different personalities. And he also, part of that movie was about teenagers or young teens dealing with something horrific. So he's got to, he can handle the whole kid, teenager thing. He can handle the grown-up stuff. And also, The Flash looks like it's going to be really good. We'll know for sure. But come on, the dude managed to turn Flash into. And by the way, do you remember we were talking about The Flash? How many directors were on it? How long it took to get? It took 9 years for that movie to get made, and he was the one that actually got it made. So what? I'm just based on that, and he got apparently good performance out of Ezra Miller. What else do you want? I just want to know, what else do you want from a director? The guy's he's a miracle worker apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I am excited to see what this Batman is going to be. It's going to be horror, so because he did it, so because I'm always down for Batman to be dark, and like you said with the Bat family, I'm always down for that. Court of Owls, please.
We could. Who knows? Could go anywhere. We know he's a talented director, so I think, and I think this is reasonable. Just given what we've seen too much that sounds real. That sounds like a real thing. So. I don't know. We'll let you guys know when we find out more. I suspect by Comic-Con we will know for sure who's directing this movie. And we'll report back then. So that's all our small bit of news for the week. But probably we missed something, or maybe you guys have some opinions about what we were talking about, or the things we said. Whatever it is, get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. All right, so enough of that news stuff. Let's get into the real meat of this episode. And I'm sure, if you're halfway paying, first of all, if you're watching this or listening to this at all, you know what's up. And I'm just going to say, if you haven't gone to see Spider-Verse, what are you doing with your life? Ladi, co-sign this. What have you been doing with your life? Stop this podcast, and if you're able to, go watch this movie first.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got a little heated with some of my friends because they were like, "Oh yeah, man, I didn't watch it this weekend." I was like, "What did you watch?" I watched Fast X. I was like,
you feel make me have to reach out and touch you.
I was like, of all the movies to watch instead of this, Fast. All right, I was like,
it's like I see you chose violence today. it's real. Look, let's talk about some numbers and stuff first. Before we get into our thoughts on it. So this is a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. The sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which was it won an Oscar for Best Animated Film, by the way, in 2019. Considered by some to be one of the, maybe the best comic book movie that came out in 2018. In my opinion, just like a phenomenal film, and not super well received enough to get a sequel, but it didn't make money hand over fist. But as we noted before, and Ladi, I think you can back me up on this. What really helped the first one wasn't that it had great box office. It was because it was on Netflix for a while during, early days of, it was still on Netflix during the early days of the pandemic. People over the, those years watched this movie and this movie's great. And they gave them 5 years to, because of the pandemic, it took 5 years to finish this thing off, in my opinion, for the better. So that led to the box office for this weekend. And Ladi, I don't know if we talked about projection. You know what they were projecting for this originally?
Man, I know those projections. Whoever was making that,
what were they saying? 80 million,
they need to get
90
pimp
million
slap.
dollars. They were like 80, 85 million. Now, which, to be fair, the first one only made 35 million in its first weekend. Right? It was a sleeper hit. I mean, it wasn't even a hit. It was just a sleeper. It did well enough, but it wasn't a hit. So, but this one said, it dusted itself off, and Across the Spider-Verse was just like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, just like Miles, and it went out there and made $120 million in domestically. So here in America, $120 million worth of tickets. Blew completely past the projections, blew past the original box office of the first one. Hell, it made more money than Shazam 2 did. Worldwide, Shazam's worldwide, it made more money than that. So, yeah, I think it's a win. And, critically, well, I think it's at like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience, the cinema score is like A on Cinema Score. Just people are buzzing about this movie. People are lit. I mean, I don't know about you. I've been telling people at work, I'm like, yo, you got to go see it. Yo, you got to go see it, and I think other people are too. So, Ladi, but just on the box office alone and the way this worked out, and I know we both we watched it at different showings. Like, how big was the audience at your theater? And were people into it? What was the reaction?
Honestly, at first I was a little worried because the audience was a little small, and I was like, damn. But then, I started noticing more and more people trickling in, and it was pretty much almost a packed place at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, and people were in it. I mean, I'll just say this. Me and my brother were just sitting next to each other saying, this movie's so fucking good. We just randomly said that throughout the movie. I'm just sitting there going this movie's so damn good. And people were really into it, man. They were really, really into it. And man, honestly, man, I was not, one of the things I told people who haven't seen it, and other people who have seen it all agree with me. We were not expecting it to be that good. I was expecting a good movie, but I wasn't expecting it to top their first movie. I know there's some people saying the first movie was better in their opinion. Whatever.
Well, to be fair, Jennifer said the same thing, and I'm fine with that because the first one is great. It really is great. I personally like this one better, but if you still like the first one better, that's no slight on this one. This one's a pretty damn. I mean, I see it.
Yeah, it's not like when I was saying yeah, whatever, I don't care about your opinion. It's more of I'm more of saying I love the movie. In my opinion, the action, the characters, the story, just the motherfucking cliffhanger.
Yeah, and
But
incidentally, I mean, we're probably gonna do just go. I don't want to say all spoilers. How about this? Well, you know, you were saying how you felt about it, so we'll do that real quick. Just kind of give our takes without spoilers. And I do want to give some, like, there's some interesting tidbits about this movie that I've learned over the course of the last few days that just kind of add a lot more flavor to the, you know, I love this movie. It is my favorite movie of the year. Like, straight up, yes, more than Guardians. I love Guardians. Yes, more than Guardians. Like, this is, out of all the movies I've seen this year, you know, I love it. But it's not just that. Knowing that, like, 1,000 people worked on it, and like they're on Twitter and everything, kind of like showing behind the scenes stuff and talking about how long it took them, and you know what their thinking was, and then you kind of realize something. And I don't know if you know, if this is something that kind of occurred to you while you're watching. We're watching true art, and I'm not talking about, you know, people want to shit on comic book movies and stuff like that, like it's not real art, but there's real artistry in this movie. It is, animation wise, technically speaking, maybe one of the best, if not the best, animated movie I've ever seen. Like just straight up. I mean, and so I really, you know, watching, you know, people talk about it, appreciating the artistry that went into making this movie a reality, and understanding. And I don't know, did you feel this way? Did you feel like there was 5 years of no time wasted making this thing happen?
I felt like watching this movie, I felt like it didn't, it felt like every single moment that, you know, like you said, it didn't feel like 5 years were wasted making this movie. It felt like they put their love and care into this movie, and it freaking paid off.
Mm-hmm. I want to give you a couple things. One, Guillermo del Toro. Now we love that guy. He is a huge proponent of treating animation as just film and not something special or weird or for kids or whatever. He made the animated Pinocchio that a lot of people loved, you know, last year, that Netflix put out. We know he likes animation, and just to see him, no one's paying him to do. He is sitting up. Have you seen him just like tweeting and just being like, "This is amazing," and like, look at the artistry and look what happened. You know, animation is real and all that other stuff. And so many others. So there's a lot of other people that are doing the same thing, that are kind, you know, actors and directors and everything like that. I mean, not just Lord and Miller, you know, who were the writers of this, not just the directors of it, not just the people that worked on it, but just other people. They're just like, this is amazing. And like, it's again, on social media, huge outpouring of love. And it's like the number of times I saw something negative was like, I've literally only seen like once someone saying something negative, and it was stupid as hell. Is that the experience you're seeing while you're online?
I honestly, this is another one of those movies that's just universally loved. I haven't seen really anybody. The worst I've seen someone say, the movie was good, not great, but they enjoyed their time. I haven't seen anybody say they didn't like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone is saying this is like a celebration of Spider-Man. Like, if you're like, I've told everybody, if you're a fan of Spider-Man, this is your movie.
Yeah.
Like, if you're an absolute, like, true fan of Spider-Man, like I am, like, this movie will blow your mind. Like, it's, jeez, man, let's just go into the review.
I want to give you one more tidbit before we get into the review. And do you know, a 14-year-old kid worked on part of this movie? Like, yeah,
I heard about that.
The Lego sequence, which was great. By the way, the Lego sequence was great. Like, just the fact that they were like, yeah, there's a Lego universe. It's all good. Like, and the entire, it was animated by a 14-year-old who literally, as a, like, if you go see on his social media, he says he spent 6 years. He taught himself Blender and everything for 6 years just so he could animate. Not this part, something that he put on YouTube that put him on the radar of the animation, you know, the director of the movie, and they hired him, and he literally, that part is him, which is fucking amazing. Like, that's just the sort of thing I'm just like, I'm just like, okay, you don't have to. I mean, I already in love with this movie. I don't need any, but that's cool as hell, and I love to see it. Like, it's just, dude, just come on. What, I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? At 14, I definitely wasn't doing that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. So yes, let's get into the review proper. Ladi, I know you had started sharing your thoughts, but you know, please continue.
Yeah, like, this movie was an absolute celebration to Spider-Man, and just I like how the movie started off where it's like, oh, we're getting the backstory on one of our favorite characters of the last one. And I was like, okay, cool. So we're gonna see this, and they started adding more and more to the backstory of Gwen, and we got to see her side of the story. Which, by the way, part of me wanted me to say some mean stuff about her father, but of course, you know, later on we'll see all that get mended. But like, it's cool how they showed what's going on, you know, that a villain shows up that's not from there, and it introduced us to this entire new thing of Spider-Man. You know, like, there's this like whole thing of different Spider-Man trying to basically go around the thing and protect everyone. Basically, Sony's version of the TVA. Sony is sneaky, man. I'm just gonna say, Sony is one sneaky motherfucker, man. hey, I can't knock it, Sony. I can't knock it, because, man, they did their thing in this one, and you can see it, like, their little own version, and they're adding on to the story of what's going on in this movie. And we finally get to see Miles, and we're seeing his side, which, you know, it's not his, you can see his part is basically just as hard, or equally as, you know, just as hard or equally as hard as Gwen with dealing with his part. And it's kind of good, because me and my brother were talking about when we were watching it, the difference between the two families, you know, Gwen's father and Miles' dad. And I was like, this is really interesting. And it's kind of cool that Miles is kind of like bonding with his father as Spider-Man.
Right, yeah.
Really, really was enjoying that one. Also liked how they got his mom more involved, because I felt like we really didn't see anything of the mom in the last movie. So I'm happy for that. I mean, I'm trying to remember what else.
Oh, well, there's a ton. It's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
Yeah.
That you don't really feel like. I literally, when I realized toward the, I was like, oh shit, I was like, oh shit, they're about to end on a cliffhanger, because like, this shit is not resolved, and I know it's been 2 hours. It's been over 2 hours. And that was fine. I felt fine like that. I have to say, just without really spoiling anything. First of all, love the movie. It is easily one of the best comic book movies ever made. Like, straight up, live action or not, one of the best that's ever been made. Better than the first Into the Spider-Verse, in my opinion. Which, again, not a slight on Into the Spider-Verse. I still love it. But this is just like that, but more. And look, there's a lot of comic book shit that happens in this movie. Like, straight up stuff that I didn't ever think I'd see occur on a film.
Yeah.
But what the beauty of it is, the writing is so fucking good in this movie that you are not lost. It makes sense. Not like there will be things that happen. There's a ton of cameos in here from, spider people that really do exist, and then spider people that were made up for this movie, right? There are deep cuts. There's Easter eggs, and the shit all makes sense. It makes sense within the context of the story. And there's first of all, there's no wasted space. There's no wasted breath. They don't just throw things in just to throw things in. They have something to do with the story, right? And so it doesn't ever feel like a spectacle. It's a spectacle that doesn't feel like just spectacle, right? And underneath all of that, they have, right, again, the writing's so good. They throw characters at you, some of which you've seen before, but many of which you have not. And in the space of a few minutes, whenever you meet a new character, you learn enough about them to know who they are and understand why they do the things that they do. Right? This is a movie that has a sprawling cast, a lot of characters that are in and out of the scenes, right? And it takes you, like, for instance, there's a Spider-Man India. He's a great example. You meet him, he gets his name, he does the little, oh hey, I'm Spider-Man of like, you think, oh, that's the introduction, but no, in the course of swinging across that city, in the course of a couple minutes, you know who he is and what he's up to and what he's about, and when he acts and reacts, it all makes sense, right? They introduce so many cool and new dynamic characters like Spider-Punk, like Miguel O'Hara, right? Like Jessica Drew, and then some other little peripheral characters. They present drama, and it makes sense. Like all of the wacky comic book shit that happens has to happen. You understand why it has to happen. It doesn't feel cheap or tacked on or unearned or anything like that. When things are going down, that they are a logical progression, right? And beyond that, as I was telling Jennifer, we were talking about it afterwards, I was like, take the superhero shit out, which is a lot of the movie, by the way. A lot of the movie is very much superhero stuff. But take a lot of that stuff out, and it's still a story about two teenagers who are struggling to sort of not just find their way in the world, but who are sort of contemplating about the fact that they're keeping a monumental secret from the people that love them, and how are they dealing with that inauthentic nature of their relationship at the same time, while the parents are sort of trying to do the best that they can for their kids that they feel like they are losing. That's a big part of that. Plus the whole concept, someone kept saying the trolley problem. Who do you sacrifice one person to save a million or whatever? Can Spider-Man do that? Can a hero do that, sort of make that sort of calculation? And if they are they a good guy? That's a story that doesn't need superheroics to tell and would still be interesting. But there are actual human stories underneath the web slinging, and oh, that's cool, that Spider-Man is weird looking, or there's a cat that's a Spider-Man or something like that. All that stuff's fun, but it serves the story of these human interactions, these human dilemmas that are going on in these people's lives. And not only that, Miles is the best. Like, I love him so much now. I love Gwen so much now. Like, all of these characters, you know them, you love them, you want what's best, you are cringing because you know some bad shit's going down. And like these twists and turns that keep you kind of on the edge of your seat. And I'm just like, I mean, I could keep going. The point is, the writing is excellent. Characters are excellent. The animation is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. They should not be able to do the things they did in this movie. They should not be able to make things look so good when there are clearly so many different styles, right?
And here's the crazy part. It only cost them $100 million to make that movie.
And I'm just like, man, they worked. These animators got worked to death. And I hate to say it, but I mean, they did. There is so much thought put into, and what I say about artistry, you can tell there's a lot of thought put into the the character design, the set design, the scenes, the scenery, and everything like that. How the motion capture, how they move, how characters express themselves by the way they move, all the expressiveness in the face. There's so much great acting going on, and I'm saying that the animators have done so much great acting facially, right? And then on top of that, they got the nerve to have top-notch voice acting. How dare these people not only be excellent with the animation and the set design and all of the concepts and the creativeness and the storytelling, then they have the nerve to have some actors that are at the top of their game, that are selling everything that's happening in this. I mean, what else do you want? This movie is damn near perfect. Damn near perfect. And
yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I could keep going on. We have got to get into spoilers, but there's no, I'm not even saying if you love Spider-Man. If you like a damn good movie that's going to keep you locked in, riveted, on the edge of your seat, just like wondering what the hell is going on, especially when you get to the end of this movie. This movie's going to throw you for a swerve so hard, you ain't even going to know what's going on. There's just so much to this that's just, if you just love good storytelling, that's what this movie is all about, and just go see it. That's it. Go see it. And if you have seen it, I mean, go see it again. So, because I'm damn sure going to go see it again. I don't know. Ladi, got any more thoughts before we get into spoilers proper?
I'll just say this. The simple fact that all Spider-Man that we've ever seen, ever, and I mean ever, is canon, just blows my fucking mind.
Oh my God, boy, we gotta. There's so much to say there. So yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen this movie, just go watch and come back. Okay, so we got to talk about this stuff. Ladi, first of all, the best multiverse movie done ever, straight up. This puts, and I hate to say it because I love Loki, and I really liked Multiverse of Madness. This is the best multiverse movie that involves Marvel characters, bar none. There's no way. This not even a question. This is better than. In fact, some people are saying this is the best Spider-Man movie, and I'm not even gonna fight people on that.
Yes,
I'm not even gonna fight them on that. That's I can't. I really like No Way Home a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, this is better. It's just better all the way around. I got a bunch of notes. So you were talking about how all the Spider-Man are canon. I wanted to note that in the space of a couple minutes, at the Spider Society, they drew a line between every Marvel multiverse ever, at all. Every single Marvel multiverse that exists is somehow connected because of this movie, and they do it in such a fun way. By Miguel O'Hara referencing Tom Holland, right? The Doctor Strange and that nerd in 1999, right? But then there's so much galaxy brain shit going on in this movie. Then they pull out when they're showing the consequences of the web of destiny and all that other shit. They show Toby and Andrew live action.
By the way, someone better pick up that phone because I fucking called it. Listen, when I saw that, my brother looked at me immediately because I told him too. I said, "There's no way they're not gonna pick at least a cameo." Yep. There's no way.
They were kind of cheap about it because they did stock footage, but I'm fine with that because again, they're drawing a line. Because look at the line they draw, and also there's a double line drawn here because it's not just referencing Tom Holland, even though they didn't show him, right? it's not just that they had Andrew and Toby in there. It's not just that we saw the the Sony Spider-Verse movies are clearly canon to Across the Spider-Verse because they are showing directly references to those characters. But they also I didn't know this was going to happen. I was so fucking happy with Donald Glover as the Prowler. Donald Glover as the Prowler being in there in live action. He's the only there's only 2 live action people in this whole movie that are actually there just for the movie, right?
Yeah.
And he's one of them, and he's dressed up as the Prowler, but he also was that same character in Spider-Man Homecoming. Remember? Yeah. So he's the same guy, but a little further down the line from Homecoming, right? So they've drawn the line back to the MCU, right? Which means that not only is the Spider-Verse connected to the MCU, but remember, because of Deadpool, the MCU is going to be connected to the Fox multiverse too, right? Because some people think that the Fox universe is a multiverse, and in some ways, thanks to Days of Future Past, it is, right? So you have a line connecting all of the Marvel multiverses into one universe if you want them to be. So, like I said, just brilliant. And also, the Venomverse is connected to the Spider-Verse. So we saw that too, right? Mrs. Chen,
yep.
very, very briefly, for just a little fun throwaway thing where the Spot was talking to Mrs. Chen. So they're like, look, this multiverse stuff, if they're going all in. They're putting it all in there.
Like Sony, like I was just talking about this with one of my Sony is like planning something big, and it's not just like because some part is like, oh, like my brother when we got out the movie, he's like, oh yeah, they're planning their own like cinematic universe. I said, Femi, you're thinking too small, because PS4 Spider-Man was in there.
Yes,
not
only that, Genki was playing he was playing Spider-Man on
yes.
the PS5. Dude.
And they had the cart. I was like, they're not making a cinematic universe. They're just making a universe that all things that we've ever seen Spider-Man in and will ever see him in is going to be like this massive universe.
Right.
That, like I told him, you're thinking way too small. It's not just a cinematic universe. It's going to be a game verse. It's going to be a animated verse. It's going to be a live action verse. It's going to be this. Sony just pretty much said, hey, if Spider-Man was in it, canon.
Yeah. I like. They even had. I feel like they had the PS2. Would they have the PS2 Spider-Man on there?
Yes,
they had the. So they had the PS2 Spider-Man. They had PS4 Spider. I mean, like, they did a lot. That's what I'm saying.
They had the classic, the original.
They had the They had. Then they have Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes.
There. They had,
but they had the one from all the way from the 1960s, the one that was like, remember the one that was swinging to
slow. He couldn't
yes.
catch. That's the pointing Spider-Man. It's. I mean, they went nuts. They went crazy with the extra Spider-Man. But like all of the multiverse stuff. I mean, it's cool. It's possible. There's so many possibilities in here. And that's the creativity of this movie. And look, they could have just done reference, but they made it all make sense. And not only that, like I mean, Spider-Man India, his whole deal, that entire scene and sequence was fucking amazing. One, but Spider-Man India, like I want to see more of his story, like. If this movie did lots of things right. Well, one of the things it did right is it's like, oh, here's this Spider-Man, here's this Spider-Man, here's this Spider-Man. Oh, aren't they interesting? All right, we're taking them off the table. You're like, wait a minute, hold on a second, hold on. Why y'all taking them away? I want to know more about this person. Give me a second. let's get to know this guy a little more. Like, I want to see this dude kicking ass as Spider-Man in Moonbatten or Moonbatten, whatever they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or wait, hold on. Hold on a second, yo. There's a Spider-Man with a horse. Can I see more of that? Like, am I wrong about that? They kept doing that. I was like, wait a minute. I want to see more of this character. Why y'all getting him off the screen so damn fast? You know,
they had a lot of nope moments. Like, nope. Yeah, they're like, hey, I like that. Nope.
I like that's what an accomplishment to just. And I'm look, I know those are one-off characters and stuff, but I'm talking about even the ones that had actual dialogue. You know, that were actually like Spider Bite. I'm like, hold on, can I see her world and see where she what she be doing as digital Spider Woman, right? Oh, wait a minute, Jessica Drew, where are you? I want to see her world. What's she up to, right? They kept doing that, and I was like, if y'all pick any one person out of this cast and give them a movie, and I'm there day one with my popcorn and my drink, and I'm ready to go. Like, am I wrong about that?
No.
It's crazy. Like, they did the. Yeah, we can go on and on. Who was your favorite character in this?
Oh, that's a tough one, man.
I had a yeah. I had a feeling.
It's between Miguel O'Hara and Miles. I always have to say, I really, even though Miguel O'Hara was an asshole, I mean, you could feel his character.
His entire character was, "Am I the asshole?" That's his whole thing. That's fair. That's the beauty is, I bet a bunch of people are saying different characters. I was talking with my daughter. This movie also wins because I literally just spent an hour and a half nerding out about this movie with my daughter. Do you know how good that feels to make me feel like I've done something good as a father? That my daughter was like, her mom was like, "Have you seen Spider-Verse yet?" And I was like, "No, but I will tomorrow." And she was like, "Your daughter says, hurry up because she has." She's like, "Bring your notes with it." And I was like, "Oh shit, we're about to nerd out." And we did for an hour and a half, just talked about the movie. And she told me, her favorite character, and I agreed. Is Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk was fucking awesome. I need like a whole movie for that dude. Anarchy Spider-Man, sure, cool. He did, and the thing is, he wasn't just a cool dude doing cool dude things. He also did pivotal things that actually fucking mattered in the movie. I mean, come on. And hell, Peter B. Parker. I mean, he's great. Like, we can't spend a ton of time talking about every single character, but I mean, he had a whole story, and I mean, come on. And as for Miguel, like that guy, well, he's fucking intense. He's the only non-funny Spider-Man character in the whole movie, and he's intense as shit.
Yeah.
Well,
he had some like parts that played up with other characters. Like, he's like, "I had enough of you." Like, he was talking to
yeah,
Peter, daddy spider.
Yeah. in the bathrobe, so good. But even still, this is the thing. He wasn't the villain, though. It seemed like he was the villain, not the villain. Spot's the villain, and we can talk about him too. Wow, how he went from zero to hero, if you will. But he was the antagonist because even though, like I said, am I the asshole? But like, if you think about it, you're like, but is he wrong though? Is he wrong? Like, what's
I mean, it is kind of fucked up that Miles did it. Because, hey, I did like that joke. He's like, God dang, man, you don't even remember that you did this to him. You don't even remember. Like, this, like, it's true. Like, remember how everybody was saying that? That's like, I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of fucked up. Like, they're all saying that. Like, Miles, you destroyed this man. Like, you could at least remember who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, I saw a video synopsis saying that Miles destroyed the entire universe by stealing a bagel.
Yeah.
And
Like, he hit me with a bagel.
Because they showed it. Because I went back and like watched that scene. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and even his backstory. Like, here's the thing. Most of the time, I hate exposition in a movie or a TV show where they're just like, here, let me info dump you, right? But
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me in this movie or even the first movie because of the way that they stylize it, and it's fun and interesting, and the way they sort of animate the scenes as they are talking, so that it doesn't feel like a chore to get exposition. They're just like, oh, let me catch you up because like we actually need to get on with the story. You need know this little bit so we can get on with it, and it's fun, and Spot's whole little thing makes sense. Like, it all makes sense. He was just caught up in working for Alchemax and the Wilson Fisk and all of that stuff. It just he got kind of got caught up in it, and Miles being dismissive of him, he was like, oh okay, I'm clearly going to have to take 20 levels in badass, and he proceeds to do so and becomes an existential threat to reality itself. And I mean, like, cool. Like, and we got to see him fight, and he's inept at first, and then by the time later on when they're trying to stop him, he's just basically like bodying everybody. He's just bodying them. I loved it.
Yeah.
But a lot of this movie, like, some people have been like, oh, this movie is about Gwen Stacy, and I'm like, it's not her movie. It's clearly Miles's movie, and most of the things that are happening are because of him. But I will say, I really loved Gwen in this, like a lot. They open up with her story, and like look, I'm a big old softy. Having a kid has made me more likely to cry at shit related to family stuff. And I can't help it. They got me several times in this movie, related to, family interactions. And, Gwen's whole thing with her dad, when he's just like, no, I'm going to be a cop. And she's like, I need you to be a dad, not a cop right now. And he's like, I'm Spider-Woman. And just having that whole interaction that pushed her away.
Yeah, I was like, for a while, I was like, come on, man, don't be that dude.
Well, let me say, there's some real thought that went into that. I know we're in a politically charged, era and everything like that, but, themes are themes, and like, in a way, they sort of coded Miles and Gwen, having secret identities that they kept from their parents as kind of, coming out stories, really. Like, if you're a gay teen or whatever, and you're just like, I don't know if I can tell my parents, because if I tell them, they could literally kick me out of the house, which is what happened with Gwen. Like, she literally just ran away from home, essentially, because her dad wouldn't accept that she was this person, that he's kind of in his mind has got this horrible idea about her that is not based in reality. And so, and Miles is kind of the same way. He doesn't know, he's got this secret about who he is that he wants to tell them, but he's afraid to tell them. And kind of the parallel between the two stories, and not just the parallel, but the fact that Gwen had a terrible coming out really kind of shades the way that Miles interacts with his parents related to it too. It's an allegory. But the part, that whole little thing where later on she kind of reconciles with her dad, and like he's like, are you too old to get a hug? Like, this is early on, and the way she immediately runs at him, you know, I was like, that's the shit I want right there. I want stuff that means something to me emotionally, and then later on, when Miles is talking to his mom, remember let me tell you this, you know, a movie's kicking ass. You know, a movie is doing its thing. If you've seen the shit in the trailer and they played the exact same thing in the movie, and it still hits, because in fact hits more. That scene where the mom's sitting there talking about, you know, I want to just make sure that, you know, you don't ever feel like, you know, you're not wanted or welcome or whatever. That whole scene, I just teared up. Like, I had to, because once I understood the context of where that scene came from, it just hit me hard. And this movie did that several times for me. Anyway, I'm dominating conversation. Sorry.
No, man. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I enjoyed talking about this movie. Like, unfortunately, really, it was just me, my brother, and two of my other friends are the only people that watched the movie, and it's just like,
that's a travesty.
I'm like, guys, God, get y'all act together. Like,
yeah. I had to tell one of my coworkers, she and her husband work up, you know, where I work, and they were like, he was like, I want to watch the first one, but she just doesn't like animated stuff, and I'm like, well, and so I pulled her aside specifically. I was like, I heard that you don't like animated movies. 1, stop that. 2, go watch Into the Spider-Verse, and 3, go take the whole family and go watch this movie, because it's 100% worth it. It's like, I told her, I was like, I like it better than Guardians 3, and I know that she and her family liked Guardians 3 a lot. So, like, I gotta push people, like, forget that whole animation is for kids stuff. No, go watch this shit. Like, you ain't ready for how deep it is.
I just wish that whole, like, I remember, like, listening, someone on YouTube was talking about it. This whole, like, I really can't wait until that stigma, we're finally past that stigma of like, oh, it's animated. You know what I mean? It's like, I cannot wait until that stigma's finally, like, truly dies off, because in my opinion, it's kind of stupid. You know what I mean? Because it's like, how can you like comic books but don't like animated? Like, it's like, I've like someone literally was like giving me mental gymnastics over this stuff. Like, and I'm just looking at them like, bro, you're just sounding stupid. Because he's just like, oh, because I was like, what is a comic book? It is a drawing, which is what? Animated. And he's just like, well, see, that was you know, back then they weren't really good at like drawing like real stuff. They didn't have the time to do it. And I'm just like, bro, you just sound stupid. It's literally makes no sense for you to say. Like, I can understand why you may not watch every animated movie. Like, I'm not saying you should watch every animated Justice League, Marvel movie, or anything that ever comes out, but a movie like this, like, that's like big time, high quality, that's getting blockbuster movie budget, take your ass and watch it, man. Dang.
Yeah, I mean, people are just, especially Americans, are just weird about that, but I think we're getting closer and closer. We've gotten to the point where comic book movies they're not completely over the stigma, but they more or less push past it with most people. So now the animated thing has got to be overcome, and this is going to be a real step forward, because I think anyone that likes a good story, you're going to get something great out of this. And more to the point, you don't even have to have seen the first one, and you'll still understand what the hell's going on in this. We haven't really talked, we haven't talked in depth about what Miles is going through in this. Because again, we could be at this for a long time, but Miles growing up, they literally, the animation is just on point on this. But he's not only grown up, he's gotten taller. He's 15. He's grown into the role of Spider-Man, and more confident, more capable. In fact, I'll say more capable than pretty much every other Spider-Man in this whole movie. Pretty much.
Yeah, he's definitely he kind of was like giving people like, hey, we're supposed to be the good guys. Like I was like legit saying that like Miles is he's making the other Spider-Man look bad because here's the thing that I was saying to myself. They're lucky that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man were not in this, because they would have given them a fucking like tongue lash. There's three Spider-Man that if they were in this movie, I know for a fact they will be like immediately on Miles' side. That's Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and the '90s animated series Spider-Man.
I think Tom Holland's would have, because Tom Holland literally was like, no.
Oh yeah, Tom Holland's. Yeah, Tom Holland's too. Yeah, yeah, Tom Holland. Like those four Spider-Man would have been like, no, this is wrong. Like immediately, because like I said, those four Spider-Man immediately knew that we have to try our best, even if it sounds like it's not going to happen. Because you got to think, they already like something like that happened, and they prevented it from like like what they call a canon event. They prevented the canon event. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think this whole thing about these things have to happen. They're important, and you got to have this loss, and you're gonna have to do that. And Miles just like, no, it's not being the good guy. That's you don't give up the fight like that. But it's kind of speaks to, maybe the nihilism of someone who sort of already saw a world die, but everyone else sort of buying into it. And not only that, Miles being, as they call him, the original anomaly. I mean, I thought the whole thing about the anomaly, that was extremely interesting. Like, you weren't supposed to be Spider-Man, but you are now. And then this other world doesn't have a Spider-Man because you're a Spider-Man. And, what does that mean to, like, what does that mean to the stability of the multiverse and everything like that? And then at the end of the day, Miles still really being like, basically giving the good argument about, no, you guys think this is the trolley problem, but really it's a question of your integrity and your character. Like, what do you just because people say you can't try to save everyone doesn't mean you stop trying to do it. And I think a lot of those Spider-Men lost that understanding because Miguel was very persuasive about what's going on. And it leads to some of them questioning the how right Miguel's whole quest is, even though I think that I could be persuaded to believe that he's right. Like, it's not like he's 100% wrong. It's pretty clear some shit's going on because of things that Miles has done, or his existence, or just the spot and everything like that. He's not wrong, but maybe he's going about it wrong, and it makes some people question. And I love that there are some of those spiders that are actually going to go ahead and do that. Some obvious and some not so obvious. Let's talk about Earth 42 real quick before we go down another rabbit hole. When did you he affects this awesome escape. Like, that chase sequence is one of the best damn chase sequences possible, right? It's literally almost going to the moon, and you're thinking like, holy shit, how is Miles gonna get out of this? Like, he's getting chased by like 100, 200 spider related people, and he's just going all over this future Earth and everything like that. And he's got like the big badass Miguel O'Hara who is not playing with him, right? And then you realize, wait a minute, Miles have been playing y'all this whole fucking time. That's why I said, to me, I think he proved during that chase scene, if he's not the best Spider-Man out of them, he's damn near. Like he had a brief interaction with Jessica Drew in the freeway, and like completely took her out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, hold on now. And that was the point I realized, like, hold on now. You know, hold on. Miles done came up. Miles really came up because you would think like she's more experienced. No, he took her out, and he's running away from all these Spider-Man, including Metro Boomin. By the way, did you see that? Did you hear that one? Including Metro Boomin, but Scarlet Spider, all of them. It takes them on this long ass, complicated ass chase, right? And at the end of it, you realize, oh wait a minute, he set this whole shit up so he could actually escape. And I'm like, come on, y'all, like that. It was so fucking cool. Oh, and as an aside, Peter B. Parker and Mayday is the best. Come on, like little baby Parker web slinging and crawling up. How can you not love that? But anyway, so it gets away, and then thanks to Spider Bite sort of not narking on him, gets away to another, to a universe that he thinks is his own, but it's not. At what point did you realize that he was in the wrong universe?
When his mom didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Like when she started saying like, what are you talking about? I was just like, because I was like, she can't be stupid. I was like, oh, then when what's her name was just looking like what's her name? Gwen. It's just like, oh shit, he's in the wrong universe. I was like, oh boy.
Now I will say I picked up on it. I want to say I think I picked up on it before he started being like, I'm Spider-Man. Like I forget what exact. I think I leaned over and I was like, I forget what it was that made me think that too. But I was just like, oh, I think it was because his mom came in, and I think I noticed his room looked weird. Like that was the thing that got me, because his room looked weird. It wasn't like sort of messy and all the other stuff like he left it, right? And that's what I was like. I bet he's in the wrong universe. I just kind of leaned over. I was like, he's in the wrong universe. And then she was like, who's Spider-Man? I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely in the wrong. He's not in the right universe. Dude, that whole little twist at the end was first of all, well concealed trickery, and also a big ass swerve. Like that, that swerve was so huge. And alternate universe Miles looks mean as fuck. Like he's the Prowler, and Uncle Aaron's just like, I'm your Alfred, dog. And I'm like, oh, shit. As soon as I saw Uncle Aaron, I was like, oh shit, it's going down in this bitch. And
I knew, like, immediately everybody, like, my brother was like, Nani. I was like, yeah, it's kind of obvious that Miles is the Prowler in this universe. I was like, it's kind of obvious.
Well, some people were saying like it was big when he put on Miles's clothes, that he had Prowler colors and everything, but like the total difference between the two of them, like it's like, as I won't say it's night and day, but it's so different. Even the way he carries himself and looks at him, and also Earth 42 looks like crap, right? Like New York Earth 42. I'm like, god dang, how many buildings are on fire? What are y'all doing? And they got like the Sinister Sixes rolling around, like. Oh man, just that whole little cliffhanger of like, all right, how is he gonna get out of this? But even then, Miles, he's so confident. He just ran away from a shit ton of spider people. You think the Prowler, even the Prowler that looks like him, is gonna be good enough for him? I think not. But also the cool thing was Gwen getting the band back together, and I was so fucking happy. Being like, I was like, oh, she's bringing the team together, and I was like, oh, it's cool, Spider-Punk and Spider-Bite, and of course Peter B. Parker, but then Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham and what's her? God, I always forget her name. Penny Parker rolled out, I was like, oh shit, squad up, yo, it's going down. Y'all ain't ready. The Spider people, they ain't ready. Miguel ain't ready for that Spider team. Dude. And then they ended. I was like, how dare you? How dare you? I come on now. I wanted the next scene immediately.
Yeah, I'm buzzing about that movie. I'm like, oh, then the sinking feeling of we have to wait more. We have to wait like 3 years. I'm just like 2 or 3 years.
Here's the beauty of it. It's coming out next year.
Even still,
it's I think it's slated for March. They might move it back depending on what's going on, but we're getting it in a year. And I'm like, okay, cool. Y'all ain't making me wait for a few years, but it's going down. Like, it's just, how did they do this? I am floored. How did they do this? Because this is legit. Like this. Let me think. Yeah, I liked it more than Wakanda Forever. I liked it. I liked it more than Endgame. Like, I mean, like, this could be. Listen, I mean, is it? Can we start talking about this as in greatest comic book movies of all time? Can do top 5? Are we talking top 5 now?
Oh yeah.
Are we?
Yeah, yeah.
Are we talking?
Are
we talking top 3?
Top 3. This is not an over exaggeration. This movie was. I really, really enjoyed this movie. Top 3. Okay. My number 1 is original Avengers.
Okay.
Hit. Yeah.
I mean, it could be top 3.
No, because now I'm like thinking about it. Yeah, I'm because I'm like original Avengers. Then I was thinking of the other movies. What I think it's like I don't see a movie that came out like in the last few, like even Infinity War or Endgame, that I was like, I'm like this, like what the fuck, like I can't wait to see it. Like you said, I really wish part 2 was already out.
Yeah. So I mean, look, we could go on and on. Like and maybe one day we should. I think I am so into this movie that when it comes out on 4K, I'm gonna get it, and I just want to sit and do like just you and I just watching this movie again and doing a commentary, because like we could literally sit here and talk for hours about this movie and what they were doing, what they just individual scenes and everything like that. So I mean, gosh, yes, it's just that damn good. Worth seeing over and over again. Worth owning. Kudos to everyone involved in this. It was clearly a labor of love. It's worth every dollar and every hour, every minute, spent making this thing a reality. And if this isn't up for like all the Oscars, there's no fucking justice in the world. And they're gonna screw them, right? The Oscar voters are gonna screw them, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're absolutely, they better at least nominate it from one of the 10 movies for Best Picture, but they're gonna screw them. They're not gonna take it seriously, which is some bullshit, because again, this is, out of all the movies I've seen this year, and I've seen quite a few, this is my favorite one. Like without doubt, it's my favorite movie of the year so far. So anyway, Ladi, I think that's all of our thoughts for now, at least. We're going to continue to follow this in the coming weeks. But what did you guys think about this movie, this great movie? What did you think about what we had to say about it? Just get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And, of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And while you're down there, do us a favor, like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. It helps with the algorithm so that more people see this channel, see these videos. Really helps us, to grow the channel. Not at 200, but we're getting closer. We're trickling upward. So like to see that explode. So do us a solid. Hook us up. Show us some love. And of course, there's no way. I mean, I guess I could have talked about this movie by myself. It wouldn't have been nearly as fun or interesting without Ladi's insight. So, Ladi, can you tell them where they can reach you on social media?
Oh yeah, you can always find me on my Instagram, which is Anukinihun. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN. And of course, my YouTube channel, Kinihun25. If you have time, leave a like, a follow, subscription, or whatever you do. Even if it's a mean comment, haters are welcome as well.
You're doing something right if you got haters. So, yeah, bring them on. But anyway, thanks everyone for joining us. This has been the 103rd episode of the Supercast. We enjoyed having you here, having all these conversations. Hope you'll come back next week. We're going to talk about, I guess, the fallout of Spider-Verse and all the other news that's coming out. So until then, I have been Mo, your commentator extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Ladi. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.